Ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready to present the various degrees to all candidates. The audience is requested to remain in their seats until the conclusion of today's ceremony. Candidates for the doctor's degree in the School of Medicine will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Associate Dean Daniel Hunt.
Mr. President, it is my privilege to present to you the list of the 147 candidates for the degree Doctor of Medicine. I recommend that all who have completed the requirements from the School of Medicine be awarded their doctoral degree. These graduates have been honored in previous ceremonies, and many have already taken posts around the country in postgraduate training. Those that are here today will come forward with the other graduates. Thank you.
Candidates for the doctor's degree in the School of Dentistry will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Professor L. Brian Toulson, Chairman of the Department of Prosthodontics.
Mr. President, it's my pleasure and honor to present a list of doctoral candidates from the School of Dentistry. I recommend all who have fulfilled the requirements be awarded their doctoral degree. These graduates were honored in a separate ceremony last week.
Candidates for Juris Doctor degrees in the School of Law, Mr. President, will be presented to you by Professor William B. Stobuck.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Faculty of Law, it is my honor to present to you a list of 151 candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor, and I recommend that those who complete the requirements for the degree be awarded that degree. The law school has already held a commencement to honor those candidates. Those who are also with us this afternoon will come forward with the other doctoral candidates.
Candidates for Doctor of Pharmacy degrees in the School of Pharmacy will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Dean Sidney D. Nelson.
Mr. President, it is an honor to present you a list of the 14 candidates for the degree of Doctor of Pharmacy. I recommend that all who have fulfilled the requirements of the School of Pharmacy be awarded their doctor degrees. These graduates were honored previously in separate ceremonies held elsewhere. The Doctor of Pharmacy candidates will please come forward with the other doctoral candidates.
Candidates for doctoral degrees will be presented by Acting Dean Dale Johnson of the Graduate School.
Mr. President, here with us today are candidates who have completed all requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Education. I request them to please rise. Mr. President, on behalf of the deans of schools and colleges and the graduate faculty, I am pleased and honored to present the candidates for the highest degrees awarded by the university. The names of those awarded doctoral degrees this year are listed in the commencement program, along with the titles of their dissertations and the names of their faculty supervisors. I recommend that these candidates be awarded their respective doctoral degrees.
On behalf of the regents and the faculties of their respective schools, I am pleased to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Education, or Doctor of Medicine, Doctor of Dental Surgery, Juris Doctor, or Doctor of Pharmacy. Congratulations. You have achieved high academic distinction, and this university salutes you. You will be presented today with a memento of this graduation exercise. Please come forward.
Paul Raymond Andreasen, Doctor of Philosophy, Pathology.
Craig Stephen Anderson, Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science.
Jeffrey Dean Bierman, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Susan Gardner Errol, Doctor of Philosophy, Fisheries.
Timothy John Bloom, Doctor of Philosophy, Pharmacology.
Ikut Bill Gay, Doctor of Philosophy, Biological Structure.
Eric C. Burge, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Uwe Brotzler, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Vikram Chalana, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Robert Douglas Chandler, Doctor of Philosophy, Civil Engineering.
Yuzhong Chana, Doctor of Philosophy, Civil Engineering.
Jingping Chen, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Per Henry Christensen, Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science.
Qingping Zhou, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Greg I. Cho, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Keith A. Clay, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Clarabelle Coronado, Doctor of Philosophy, Fisheries.
Eric Decker Church, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Douglas Hal Clark, Doctor of Philosophy, Geological Sciences.
Thomas Andrew Dean, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
Thomas Edward Downey, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Aline J. Cotel, Doctor of Philosophy, Aeronautics and Astronautics.
Yuan Fong, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Karen Louise Edwards, Doctor of Philosophy, Epidemiology.
Uwe Hessinger, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Eustace Sylvester Esdale, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Sue Galetti, Doctor of Education, Education.
Stephanie K. West Florio, Doctor of Philosophy, Pharmacology.
Thomas Joseph Halverson, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Ralph Callan Foster, Doctor of Philosophy, Atmospheric Sciences.
Carla Jean Fulner, Doctor of Philosophy, Microbiology.
Mark Alan Gavin, Doctor of Philosophy, Immunology.
Todd Walter Scranton, Doctor of Philosophy, Physiology and Biophysics.
John Anthony Gambatiz, Doctor of Philosophy, Civil Engineering.
Thomas Martin Siderius, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Robert William Hallberg, Doctor of Philosophy, Oceanography.
Stephen Walter Nurse, Doctor of Education.
Connie Jean Gores, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
William Theodore Dietze, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Stephen Russell Hare, Doctor of Philosophy, Fisheries.
Judith Zimmerman Ellsworth, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Fu Den Huang, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Willard Rodney Foss, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemical Engineering.
Susan H. Hoyne, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
David Matthew Gregory, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Henrik Hulgaard, Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science and Engineering.
Ke Hong, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
Su Wan Zhang, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Daoyan Wang, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Elizabeth Madeline Kenny, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Tapas Kanungo, Doctor of Philosophy, Engineering.
Deborah Carton, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Elizabeth Ann Kirk, Doctor of Philosophy, Nutritional Sciences.
David Keppel, Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science and Engineering.
Anthony George Lamarca, Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science and Engineering.
Kam Ki Lam, Doctor of Philosophy, Aeronautics and Astronautics Engineering.
Bruce E. Larson, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Laura Lee Landrum, Doctor of Philosophy, Oceanography.
Jason Lee, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Brian Seaver Rood, Doctor of Philosophy, Mathematics.
Hongjae Lee, Doctor of Philosophy, Statistics.
Jonghee Lee, Doctor of Philosophy, Mechanical Engineering.
Xiaoyan Lin, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
Wei Lin Lee, Doctor of Philosophy, Aeronautics and Astronautics.
Pek Yi Lum, Doctor of Philosophy, Zoology.
Hen Chen H. Liu, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Hern Liu, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemical Engineering.
Grant Cameron Marian, Doctor of Philosophy, Speech and Hearing Sciences.
Ian Shires Painter, Doctor of Philosophy, Statistics.
Larry N. Lynch, Doctor of Philosophy, Civil Engineering.
Kristen Lynn Rodenheiser, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Shiva Bala Narayanan, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Remedios E. Ruyam Mulyari, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
James White Munir Owens, Doctor of Philosophy, Physiology, Biophysics.
Kendaya Sribalaskan Daraja, Doctor of Philosophy, Civil Engineering.
Julia Nobolungu Ngloy Mekwa, Doctor of Philosophy, Nursing.
Anne Elizabeth Huber, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Katrin Pittick, Doctor of Philosophy, Biological Structure.
Roxit A. Kagalwala, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Shuyan Sandra Ning, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
Mary R.T. Kennedy, Doctor of Philosophy, Speech and Hearing Sciences.
Yijun Pang, Doctor of Philosophy, Pathobiology.
Pramod M. Mahadev, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Regina Marie Rochefort, Doctor of Philosophy, Forest Resources.
Ranjan Maitra, Doctor of Philosophy, Statistics.
Roberta S. Ream, Doctor of Philosophy, Nursing.
William A. Marty, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Richard A. Layton, Doctor of Philosophy, Mechanical Engineering.
Kenneth I. Morrow, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Robert R. Scheibe, Doctor of Philosophy, Mechanical Engineering.
Nancy Eileen Messmer, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
John H. Tanouchi, Doctor of Philosophy, Mechanical Engineering.
Kamaruddin Mohammed Noor, Doctor of Philosophy, Forest Resources.
Clifford Ross Slaughterbeck, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
James Wilder Orr, Doctor of Philosophy, Fisheries.
Stephen G. Sutliff, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Tien Nguyen, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Donald Leon Sandoval, Doctor of Philosophy, Mechanical Engineering.
Joanne Perry, Doctor of Philosophy, Nursing.
David H. Skelding, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Linda Louise Reed, Doctor of Philosophy, Environmental Health.
Robert John Streifel, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Carol J. Reed, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Michio Shima, Doctor of Philosophy, Fisheries.
Louis D. Scampavia, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
David Eric Taflin, Doctor of Philosophy, Aeronautics and Astronautics.
Sangbom Shim, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemical Engineering.
Bonggi Song, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Beth Louise Smiley, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Arnie H. Voy, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Kenneth B. Schwartz, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Kirk Peter Van Ness, Doctor of Philosophy, Environmental Health.
Achara Sukanthasorn, Doctor of Philosophy, Nursing.
Elizabeth Ann Walkup, Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science and Engineering.
George Stewart Tomlin, Doctor of Philosophy, Education.
Weiqi Wang, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Roger Joseph Tremblay, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
George Winkenbach, Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science and Engineering.
Rebecca Claire Tyson, Doctor of Philosophy, Applied Mathematics.
Shingo Wei, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Viwat Visuthik Raisi, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Chen Yan, Doctor of Philosophy, Pharmacology.
Jian Wang, Doctor of Philosophy, Bioengineering.
Ziyi Wang, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
Richard Henry Wagner, Doctor of Philosophy, Botany.
Bin Shah, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
John Edward Weller, Doctor of Philosophy, Mechanical Engineering.
Ming Zhen Yang, Doctor of Philosophy, Atmospheric Sciences.
Gefeng Zhu, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry.
John Leslie Zabel, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
Dennis Yi, Doctor of Philosophy, Physics.
Linda Gale Harris, Doctor of Education.
Su-Young Wu, Doctor of Philosophy, Forest Resources.
Melba Jean Hernandez, Doctor of Education.
Nicholas Christos Zafaratos, Doctor of Philosophy, Urban Design and Planning.
Jeanette Searle Franks, Doctor of Philosophy, Social Welfare.
Sandra Ellen Uter, Doctor of Philosophy, Atmospheric Sciences.
Kevin Richard Gertz, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemical Engineering.
Lori Reitman Wild, Doctor of Philosophy, Nursing.
Christine Gatlin, Doctor of Philosophy, Chemistry.
Brenda K. Zeeler, Doctor of Philosophy, Nursing.
Bharat Modayor, Doctor of Philosophy, Electrical Engineering.
Xiaoming Zhang, Doctor of Philosophy, Applied Mathematics.
Michael John Emery, Doctor of Philosophy, Physiology and Biophysics.
Cynthia Y. Young, Doctor of Philosophy, Applied Mathematics.
Chan He, Doctor of Philosophy, Forest Resources.
Kevin Schwinkendorf, Doctor of Philosophy, Nuclear Engineering.
Yuan Zhang, Doctor of Philosophy, Atmospheric Sciences.
Renee Andre Nowak, Doctor of Education, Special Education.
David Anthony McDermott, Doctor of Philosophy, Atmospheric Sciences.
Candidates for master's degrees will be presented by Dean Johnson of the Graduate School.
Candidates for the various master's degrees will please rise as their degrees are named and then remain standing. The Master of Architecture, Master of Business Administration, Master of Health Administration, Master of Landscape Architecture, Master of Laws, Master of Librarianship, Master of Marine Affairs, Master of Nursing, Master of Professional Accounting, Master of Public Health, Master of Science in Aeronautics and Astronautics, Master of Science in Civil Engineering, Master of Science in Engineering, Master of Science in Electrical Engineering, Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering, the Master of Science, Master of Social Work, Master of Urban Planning. Mr. President, I would like to introduce Dean Ellen Glenn from the College of Education to present the master's candidates from that college.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Education will please rise with the other candidates.
Mr. President, I would now like to introduce Dean Margaret T. Gordon from the Graduate School of Public Affairs to present the master's candidates from that school.
Candidates for the degree of Master of Public Administration in the Graduate School of Public Affairs will please rise with the other master's candidates.
Mr. President, on behalf of the deans of the schools and colleges and the graduate faculty, I am honored to present these candidates to receive their respective master's degrees.
On behalf of the regents and the graduate faculty, I am pleased to confer upon each of you your master's degree. Congratulations. You will be presented today with a memento of this graduation exercise, so please come forward.
You're watching Commencement 1996 from the University of Washington. These ceremonies are underway at Heck Edmondson Pavilion. And you have one of the best seats in the house for the coverage. We have multiple cameras positioned around the pavilion with what we trust are interesting views of the entire proceedings. Our telecast is presented as a public service by the University of Washington. And you are welcome to tape any part or all of the program. It is June 8th, 1996, the 121st commencement.
We are watching as the master's candidates file up to receive their degrees, and here's a breakdown on all of the degrees being granted today to the class of 1996. As we said earlier, the Seattle campus is graduating almost 9,000 today, and about 70% of the degrees being conferred are bachelor's degrees. An additional 21%, the ones that you're seeing right now, are the master's degrees, and the remaining 9% are Doctor of Philosophy, Arts, Musical Arts and Education, and professional degrees in the areas of medicine, law, dental surgery, and pharmacy.
And a sign of the changing times that the president alluded to earlier, about 54% of the bachelor's and 50% of the master's degrees were earned by women. 50% of the new lawyers are women, as are 37% of the new physicians, and 33% of the new dentists. 37% of the PhDs were earned by women.
And Jack, I'd like to point out that in all the degree categories that you just mentioned, bachelor's, master's, and PhDs, those percentages of female recipients all represent increases even over last year's numbers.
Well, and as we look out over 1996's sizable graduating class, it makes me think of the tremendous impact the university has on the state of Washington and the Pacific Northwest. Of the nearly 9,000 graduates who receive degrees from the UW each year, the great majority stay right here in the Evergreen State to live and work. At present, about 120,000 UW graduates reside here, and clearly they are making an important contribution to the Washington State community.
And let's mention something about the value of that education. Data provided by the United States Census Bureau show that people holding BA degrees can anticipate earning as much as 70% more in their lifetimes than those with just a high school diploma. And for PhDs, this figure jumps to 150%. For professional degrees, it's well over 200%.
Well, and add to that the national reputation of the UW. Ever since 1974, for example, the University of Washington has been the #1 public university in the nation, receiving federal funds for research and for training. And we've ranked second in the nation, behind only Johns Hopkins, among all universities, public and private.
And yet another feather in our cap, a recent National Research Council ranking of graduate programs placed 11 of ours in the top 10 nationally and 25 more in the top 20.
And so it's clear that today's graduates leave here well armed for the future. And our master's candidates are moving through at a very sprightly pace.
They are, and so we'll just sit back here and let you watch as the master's section continues.
Mr. President, candidates for bachelor's degrees in the various colleges and schools of the university will be presented to you by the several deans. The candidates who have been accepted by the general faculty of the university for their respective degrees are listed in the commencement program. Candidates for bachelor's degrees in the science departments of the College of Arts and Sciences will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Dean Simpson.
Candidates from the College of Arts and Sciences will please stand. Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting these candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Sciences, and recommend that all of those who have fulfilled the requirements of the College of Arts and Sciences be awarded their degrees. Candidates, please be seated.
Bachelor candidates from the School of Pharmacy will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Dean Nelson.
Mr. President, it is an honor to present to you a list of 68 candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy. I recommend that all who have fulfilled the requirements of the 5-year program of the School of Pharmacy be awarded their degrees. The names of these candidates may be found in the commencement program. These graduates were honored previously in separate ceremonies held elsewhere.
Bachelor candidates from the College of Engineering, Mr. President, will be presented to you by Dean J. Ray Bowen.
Candidates of the College of Engineering, please rise. Mr. President, it is with great pleasure that I present you these candidates from the College of Engineering for the degrees Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Science in Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Aeronautics and Astronautical, Ceramic, Chemical, Civil, Computer, Electrical, Industrial, Mechanical, and Metallurgical Engineering, and Bachelor of Science in Technical Communication. I recommend that all who have fulfilled the requirements of the college be granted their degrees. Candidates, please be seated.
Dean Bowen is about to step down from his administrative post after 15 years of dedicated and distinguished service in leading our fine College of Engineering. The list of his achievements as dean is too long to enumerate here, but I will single out for special mention 3 innovative programs that have won national attention: the Minority Science and Engineering Program, the Women in Engineering Program, and a program called Do It for Disabilities, Opportunities, Internetworking, and Technology. Dean Bowen's leadership in these and other areas has enriched the College of Engineering, its students and graduates, the engineering professions, and the University of Washington. Though he is leaving the deanship, he will remain active on the chemical engineering faculty. Please join me in paying tribute to Dean Bowen.
Candidates from the College of Forest Resources will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Acting Dean Dale W. Cole.
The candidates from the College of Forest Resources, please rise. Mr. President, it's my pleasure and honor to present these candidates for their bachelor's degree in forest resources and recommend that those that have met the requirements of the College of Forest Resources be awarded their respective bachelor's degree. Candidates, please be seated.
Bachelor candidates from the School of Business Administration will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Dean William Bradford.
Candidates from the School of Business Administration, please rise. Mr. President, it is with much pleasure that I present these candidates for bachelor's degrees in the School of Business Administration and recommend all that have fulfilled the requirement of the School of Business Administration be awarded their respective degrees. Candidates, please be seated.
Bachelor candidates from the College of Ocean and Fisheries Sciences, Mr. President, will be presented to you by Acting Dean Arthur Noel.
Will the candidates from the College of Ocean and Fisheries Sciences please rise? It gives me great pleasure, Mr. President, to present these candidates for the bachelor's degrees in oceanography and in fisheries. I recommend that all who have completed their baccalaureate requirements of the College of Ocean and Fisheries Sciences be awarded their respective degrees. Candidates, please be seated.
Bachelor candidates from the School of Nursing will be presented, Mr. President, by Dean Sue Hedgeberry.
Will the candidates for bachelor's degrees in nursing please rise? Mr. President, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Nursing, it's my pleasure and honor to present these candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I recommend that all who have completed the requirements of the School of Nursing be awarded their respective degrees. Candidates, please be seated.
Bachelor candidates from the School of Dentistry will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Professor Toulson.
Those individuals who are receiving a bachelor's degree in dental hygiene were recognized at a prior meeting, Mr. President. We recommend that they receive their bachelor's degree.
Bachelor candidates from the College of Architecture and Urban Planning will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Dean Jerry V. Finrow.
Will the candidates from the College of Architecture and Urban Planning please rise? Mr. President, I have the honor to present these candidates for bachelor's degrees in Architecture and Urban Planning, Landscape Architecture, and in Building Construction, and recommend that all who have fulfilled the requirements of the College of Architecture and Urban Planning be awarded their respective degrees. Will the candidates please sit?
Bachelor candidates from the School of Medicine will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Associate Dean Hunt.
Will the bachelor candidates from the School of Medicine please stand? Mr. President, it is my privilege to present to you the candidates for the bachelor's degree in the specialized degrees of physical therapy, occupational therapy, medical technology, prosthetics, and orthotics. Many of these degrees are being presented in absentia today, as many have already taken positions around the country. The candidates may be seated, please.
Candidates from the School of Social Work will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Dean Nancy Hueyman.
Will the candidates from the School of Social Work please rise? Mr. President, it is my pleasure and honor to present these candidates for their bachelor's degree in social welfare and recommend that all who have fulfilled the requirements of the School of Social Work be awarded their respective degrees. Will the candidates please be seated?
Candidates from the School of Public Health and Community Medicine will be presented to you, Mr. President, by Dean Gilbert Omen.
Will candidates from the School of Public Health and Community Medicine please rise? Mr. President, it's my pleasure to present these candidates for the Bachelor of Science degree in Public Health and Community Medicine from our Department of Environmental Health. I recommend that those who have fulfilled all the requirements be awarded their respective bachelor degrees. Please be seated.
All bachelor candidates from all schools and colleges just presented will please rise. Many of the candidates here today have completed degree programs in summer, autumn, or winter quarters. These candidates, whom we are very glad to have with us today, have already received appropriate diplomas. Candidates completing their academic programs this spring will receive their diplomas later this summer. A special memento of this graduation exercise will be presented to all candidates in attendance today. Following President McCormick's citation awarding the various bachelor degrees, all candidates will be seated immediately and, under the direction of the faculty marshals, will await their turn to come forward one row at a time.
On behalf of the Regents and the faculty of the University of Washington, I am pleased to confer upon each of you your bachelor's degree. Congratulations. Your university is very proud of you. May I now ask you to be seated and await your turn to come forward.
Well, as you can see, the exuberant baccalaureate candidates are now filing up to the podium to receive their degrees, and congratulations. This part of the program should take about 30 to 35 minutes.
So why don't we take a moment here and talk about our new president, Richard McCormick, who you have been watching. He became the University of Washington's 28th president this past September. He follows in the very impressive footsteps of William Gerberding, who led UW through its previous 16 years of growth and accomplishments, and who is now the longest-serving president in the history of the university. Dr.
McCormick comes to us from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, a very fine university, where he wore many hats. Beginning in 1992, he served the university as both provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs. In 1993, he assumed the office and duties of Executive Vice Chancellor. At UNC Chapel Hill, his responsibilities included oversight of academic support services, and he also assisted the Chancellor in the leadership of the university's faculty, students, and staff.
President McCormick received his Bachelor of Arts degree from Amherst College and a PhD in history from Yale. He began his academic career in the history department at Rutgers University in New Jersey. His work as an administrator started when he was appointed the acting dean of Rutgers Faculty of Arts and Sciences in 1989, a post that he formally held until leaving for UNC Chapel Hill some 3 years later.
He is the author of 3 books on American political history and is married to Suzanne Lebsack, a noted scholar and author in her own right. And they have 2 children, Elizabeth and Michael. So this will be the first commencement for Dr. McCormick as a university president. We were fortunate to have had an opportunity to chat with him last week, and we'd like to play that interview for you right now.
President McCormick, in another week, you'll be leading your first commencement as president of the University of Washington. Can you tell us some of your thoughts about this tradition, and in particular, what does it signify for you?
Well, commencement, first of all, is the day when we celebrate our students' academic achievements. These are the young men and women who have completed their work for their degrees at the University of Washington, and they're here to receive their diplomas in the presence of their family and their friends. And we're celebrating what they've accomplished. That's first of all what commencement is. It's also a day once a year when the university reminds itself and all of its members what its values are and what it stands for, really who it is. This is the University of Washington. We have long and distinguished academic traditions. They're symbolized by the gowns and hoods that our faculty members wear. They're symbolized by the names of the degrees that our students will be receiving in the company of their parents. So it's a day when we say, nice going, to a particular group of students, and it's a day when we remind ourselves and our larger community of what we stand for as a university.
Now, you came to the University of Washington with some particular impressions. In fact, I believe it was a year ago now, you had an interview with the Daily, the campus newspaper, and you said that you were well aware before you came here of the distinguished reputation of the University of Washington, particularly in research, and that the university is a mainstay of the region and the state and, of course, the city. Now that you've been here almost a year, has this place met with your expectations?
Well, you know what? If it's even possible, it's a better university than I imagined it was, and that's saying a lot because I knew it was very, very good. I've gone out across the university campus and met with students and faculty and staff in their departments, in their labs, in their offices, listened to them, hear them talk about their programs, listen to them share with me the excitement they feel about the learning and the research they're doing. And there's some wonderful, wonderful stuff going on out there. Others outside the university community have confirmed that. For example, last fall, the National Research Council released its rankings of graduate programs all across the country. And when you rank graduate programs, you're really ranking the excellence of the university as a whole, because it's the same faculty that teaches the undergraduates as well as the graduate students. They found that 11 of our programs were in the top 10 nationally in their disciplines, and that about 25 more were in the top 20 nationally in those disciplines. That's an astonishingly great record of academic performance, and only a handful of public universities can say as much.
Now, you have traveled extensively throughout the state in the 9 months that you've been here. What are you hearing about higher education in general and the University of Washington in particular, and how are these comments shaping your actions and your decisions?
There's a tremendous amount of support for higher education in the state of Washington, and a lot of pride in the University of Washington in particular. Most parents and most boys and girls expect there will be access to higher education. Although there are large numbers of students heading for our classrooms, fact is, the people of Washington expect that we will meet those expectations because they think that higher education is important for the opportunities that their children will have for the rest of their lives. I'm hearing that the university is expected to respond to those needs, but there are also high expectations for our being accountable for the resources we already have. I get asked good and smart questions about the quality of our undergraduate programs, about the commitment of our faculty to teaching, about how well we're using the resources that we already have. And I'm determined that as we respond to the challenge of providing access for the next generation of students, we're also fully accountable for the excellence of our programs.
Now, with regard to undergraduate education, the University of Washington has a reputation as one of the top research institutions in the country. What are the attractions for an undergraduate student of attending a research university like this?
Well, they're very, very great. It's a fact that a very large number of the best young men and women in the state of Washington still want to come to this university. This is their institution of choice. So as a consequence, we get a very, very excellent student body. It's a kind of student body that is, in fact, very well positioned, very well equipped to learn from a research-oriented faculty. After all, the men and women on our faculty, each of them knows far more than is in any textbook because they are themselves contributing to the discovery of new knowledge. They're able to do a great deal more than simply communicate the material. They can also communicate the excitement of discovery and the joy of learning something that no one has known before, and an understanding of where knowledge comes from and how it's applied in the real world. That's the thrill of learning from a research faculty. Our faculty are able to communicate that way to our students, and fortunately, as I said before, we have a student body that is ready and able and excited about learning from that kind of a research faculty.
And the UW is a very big place. It embraces a large and very diverse population of students, at the same time accommodating a variety of learning styles. But the environment can also be a bit intimidating, and I would suspect that's particularly true for the first-year student. What does the university do to personalize this experience for students?
Well, you know, that's true. It is a big university community. There are 34,000 students and another 15,000 or so faculty and staff. The university is vastly bigger, for example, than the high schools attended by any of our students. It's bigger than the hometowns of many of them. And so we recognize that especially for a first-year student coming onto the campus, we have to take some steps to assist them in feeling at home. We have, for example, freshman interest groups. These are small groups of freshmen who are taking essentially the same courses, or at least taking 2 or 3 courses in common. So they begin with similar interests and similar courses. We bring them together on a regular basis to share their experiences, including their academic experiences, but also their personal experiences. And it's a way in which they can become a part of a small community, even as they're joining a gigantic university community. We also increasingly are finding that many of our senior faculty are willing to teach freshman seminars. These are courses that meet once a week. They do not carry course credit for the faculty. The faculty are doing this because they love students and love teaching. The enrollments are very small, and they're on specialized topics of considerable interest to students, and on topics, of course, on which the faculty involved are experts. It's another way in which we try to bring freshmen into the university community, large as it is, in a more personal way.
Let's talk about the future a little bit, and it's a future that you're obviously going to be leading us into. Demographers tell us that in the year 2010, and we've been reading these statistics a lot lately, there will be 84,000 more 17 to 22-year-olds in the state than there were just in 1990. But we also know that the state of Washington ranks substantially below the average in graduating students at all degree levels. With what seem to be continuing resource constraints on the horizon, how will you even start to prepare the University of Washington to educate what seems to be a lot more students in the future, at the same time continuing to maintain the academic excellence for which we are known?
Well, it's a huge pair of challenges. More students and our determination to maintain excellence even as we educate those additional students. One excellent starting point is the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, most citizens of the state of Washington expect that higher education opportunities will continue to be available for their children and their nieces and nephews and their children's children. So we start with a high level of support for higher education and the expectation that spaces in the classroom will be there. So I have a confidence that those in authority in our state government will find a way to fulfill that expectation. And certainly we at the University of Washington are ready to be willing partners in that effort. For example, we have two excellent new campuses, one at Bothell and one at Tacoma. They're right now pretty small, 600 or 700 students each, but they're going to grow significantly in the decade ahead, and they will in fact absorb a fair number of the University of Washington's share of the new generation of students. At the same time, I think we can do more right here in Seattle. Our facilities are underutilized during the summer, and we can continue the growth of our evening division programs. Right now, there are 18 different degrees that we offer in the evening. There's no reason why it couldn't be 28 10 years from now. I don't think that the University of Washington Seattle can grow significantly in its traditional fall, winter, and spring daytime enrollment, maybe by a couple of thousand. But if you add together Bothell and Tacoma, summer in Seattle, evenings in Seattle, a little bit of daytime growth in Seattle, and you think as well about the opportunities presented by new technology and by distance learning, I feel sure that the University of Washington, in partnership with the people of the state, will find ways to provide the next generation of students with opportunity and access to higher education.
One last question. Can we assume that you're enjoying yourself?
I'm enjoying myself tremendously. As commencement approaches and we have a chance to be with members of the university community celebrating an academic year, celebrating the achievements of a particular group of students with their families, with their parents, I'm thrilled by the university and still deeply honored to have the privilege of providing it with leadership.
President McCormick, thank you for taking time out of what we know is your very hectic schedule. Best of luck in your first commencement and in the future.
Thank you very much.
That was an interview we held with Dr. McCormick recently. And Jack, it's obvious that this president faces many challenges as he begins his tenure here at the University of Washington, but he also seems genuinely excited about what he has to work with here and the task before him, which is taking this institution into the next century. You're looking right now, as President McCormick continues to hand out the baccalaureate degrees. We have a little bit of controlled chaos on the floor here as a lot of the family and and friends make their way down to the floor level to get snapshots of their sons and daughters and as they're receiving their degrees. We talked earlier about the significance of the hood colors, and the one that you see being worn by President McCormick is from Yale University, where he received his PhD in history. And you may also notice the medallion that he is wearing, known as the President's Seal Medallion. Its history dates back to 1958, when Dr. Charles Odegaard was inaugurated as the university's 24th president. Since that time, the Seal Medallion has been presented to every new incoming president.
And we can give you a quick, short physical description of the medallion. Both the medallion and the chain are plated in 10-karat gold, and they weigh nearly 5 ounces. On one side is imprinted the university motto, the university seal, and a facsimile of the original university building's 4 columns. The medallion's other side features the words, Seal of the President of the University.
And we'd like to remind you this is UWTV Cable Channel 27. We hope you're enjoying this presentation of Commencement 1996. And right now I'm pleased to welcome to our little perch up here on the west end of Heck Edmondson Pavilion, Dr. Lewis Fox, Associate Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education. Lewis, thank you for joining us today. And may I ask, how many university commencements have you been to?
This is not including my own, the 14th commencement that I've had
14.
14.
My
I
goodness.
can't get enough of these commencements.
I'm sure that's the case. Lewis, your office administers the freshman programs that the president just referred to in his interview, the freshman interest groups and freshman seminars. What other opportunities are available to students here at the University of Washington that serve to enhance their undergraduate experience? And I'm thinking, for example, of the Carlson Leadership and Public Service Office.
Well, there are probably too many to mention right now, but let me give you some examples of ones that I think are particularly outstanding. The Carlson office that you mentioned is an office that works with the public schools in the community and community-based organizations and with the faculty. And the way this works is that students, as a part of a regularly offered course, have an experiential component where they're out working in the community, in a community-based organization, in a public school, and they're doing work that is relevant to the course that they're taking. So for instance, a student in the sciences might be working for, say, an environmental agency. Students in a discipline like English may be working with a community-based organization, one that has particular kinds of writing needs, grants that need to be written, reports, brochures, so that they learn about the agency, they meet the people at the agency, they're doing work that's relevant to the kind of course that they're taking.
So this takes the classroom experience and actually applies it to a real-life situation.
Right. It's a good opportunity for students to test the knowledge that they get in the classroom, and then to come back and push some of the abstractions and some of the classroom knowledge a bit. So it's either way. It's a very nice springboard. We have had probably. In any given year, maybe 1,000 students participate. About 81 courses have service learning components.
Oh, that's significant.
And I think this year they were in about 100 agencies and 20 schools.
Lewis, we're hearing a lot these days about the increasing role of computing and technology in general in the curriculum. I would imagine that students are arriving on campus, many who have computing skills, many of whom are novices. What kinds of computing skills are expected of a student coming to the U, and what kind of environment can they expect to find here to help them gain whatever expertise they'll need to work in this area?
Well, Jack, students come with a range of computing skills. What we like to think in terms of is what we're calling information literacy. And we start with students when they're freshmen, and they work in their freshman interest groups that the president mentioned in the earlier interview. And in those groups, they work with librarians, and they learn how to access various kinds of information, both digital information and print information. They learn how to analyze it, how to use it, and ultimately, in the best cases, they become producers of information themselves. We think about these literacies or competencies as things that we want the citizens that we are educating to leave the university with, so that they contribute to their communities in responsible and imaginative ways. In fact, so they lead rather than chase and stumble into the future. The Carlson office imparts what we like to think of as civic literacy, things like information literacy. These are capacities that allow students to critique how problems are defined, to reimagine them, often to create new solutions to problems. And these are things that we feel very worth bothering with.
That goes back to something that Senator Bradley said, and I don't know if I can quote him exactly, but he said that information technology is a tool. It is not knowledge.
Right. It is not an end in itself, and but we're feeling more and more that our students are coming out information literate, and this is one of the hallmarks of an undergraduate education at the University of Washington. One other thing that I'd like to mention is our Center for Undergraduate Education and Technology, Mary Gates Hall, that'll open in the spring of 1998. It's going to be a very, very unique facility, and under one roof we'll combine all of the academic student services, many of our best interdisciplinary programs, electronic classrooms, and drop-in computing facilities. So this will be sort of a neighborhood for our 25,000 undergraduates.
It sounds like a fine facility, and probably something that's very, very much needed in this day of information technology. Now, you are also very much involved in the development of new curriculum here at the University of Washington. Could you talk a bit about some of the new programs that are evolving that are beginning to cross what we traditionally think of as strict disciplinary boundaries? And I know, for example, the new animation arts program, community environmental planning.
Those are two particularly interesting ones, and in fact, this year the first graduates of the community and environmental planning major are sitting right down here in front of us. This was a major that was developed by faculty in urban planning, by some faculty in the social sciences, the sciences, and students. They came together, they designed the curriculum. They have both students and faculty sit on the selection groups who choose the cohorts of students who come into the program. And as I said, the first group is graduating today. The animation arts is not yet a major, but it is among one of the most interesting programs to come along in a while. It has been developed by faculty in computer science, in art, and in music. So that
it's an interesting collaboration.
It is an interesting collaboration. And so computer scientists are getting a broad exposure to art and music, and vice versa. The students in art and music are learning about computer science. I had an opportunity last week to see the final projects of this quarter's classes, and it gave me a new appreciation for, say, films like Toy Story and what goes
into producing
what goes into
like
the, and the students did absolutely incredible work, and it was I thought it was the culmination of a year's worth of work, and it was only a quarter that they had done it in.
Wow. So I expect that we'll be seeing more of these kinds of cross-disciplinary efforts in the future.
Yes, I think they both represent some interests among the faculty and certainly among the students.
Louis, looking back to our conversation with the president, he predicted the demand for access by even more students in the future, a result of the baby boom echo and the continued in-migration into the state. One suggestion he had for meeting this demand is the use of distance learning technologies. Now, you've been doing a lot of work in this area. How do you see it evolving?
Well, Jack, I've had the opportunity the last 6 months or so to go out and visit all the community colleges in the state. And also during that time, I've met with leadership from the regional 4 years as well as from WSU. And we have collectively been talking about how we're going to meet this new need, particularly for upper division courses in the state over the next decade. There's a real there's a real spirit of cooperation among the institutions of higher education. And some of the solutions to this huge demographic bulge will involve technology. Others of them will be perhaps a little more straightforward and involve faculty going to places where there's a particular need. But I think you'll see us using the internet, the World Wide Web, video, two-way video technologies, and combinations of those and in-person instruction to reach these many, many students, some of whom are place-bound and they cannot really move out of the communities where they may have, say, gone to community college. And so this will be a good way to reach them with baccalaureate level instruction.
And speaking of baccalaureates, we are watching the bachelor's degree candidates receiving their degrees right now. And one of the misconceptions people seem to have about the University of Washington, Lewis, is that its focus on research somehow precludes an emphasis on undergraduate education. I know we asked the president this question. As a leader of undergraduate programs here at the University of Washington, how would you respond to that?
I would say that that the University of Washington's emphasis on research is in fact one of the strengths of an undergraduate program. It is a unique opportunity for our undergraduates to be involved in the creation of new knowledge. And when students, particularly at the upper division, become involved in seminars or become involved with individual faculty or in individual laboratories, they have an opportunity that many of their peers at other sorts of institutions may not have. And that, I think, and in fact, many of our students avail themselves of those opportunities, and we've created new programs to make those research opportunities even more widely available for our students.
So this is another level of experience that an undergraduate can get here that will enhance that experience for them.
Right. It does take an institution this size. It does take a little more of a self-directed student. But we find by the time these students are in their majors, most of them, many of them, perhaps even sometimes all of them, are really quite self-directed and take great advantage of the resources of a place like the University of Washington.
Well, Lewis, we really appreciate your joining us
so
this afternoon to talk about these topics, things that people may not ordinarily hear about the university, particularly in the area of undergraduate education. We're watching as the baccalaureate candidates finish their receipt of degrees.
Well, I see lots of big smiles down there, Pam.
Oh, for sure.
And they have been moving through at a very gallant pace here.
This was quick.
Yes, wow.
This was a little quicker than we expected. A lot of the relatives and friends of the graduates have left their seats, and as I said, they're now down on the floor trying to get that photo.
There's a whole entourage down there in the aisleways and all. And we have to send our compliments to our musical group today. They've done a great job under the direction of Timothy Salzman. They are as vibrant and energetic right at the end as they were at the beginning of today's purple ceremony.
For sure. Definitely adds to the pomp of the ceremony.
It does help to keep things moving right along.
After the singing of the alma mater, the audience and members of the graduating class are requested to remain standing in their places until the recessional of the faculty is concluded. The graduating class and guests will then resume their seats. Under the direction of the commencement marshals, the graduates will march outside to meet their parents and friends. We urge that the order of the recessional be maintained until you leave the pavilion. The audience will now please rise for the singing of the alma mater. The words are printed on the inside of the back cover of the commencement program. The 121st commencement exercises of the University of Washington are now closed.
The University Marshal has just officially concluded the commencement of the University of Washington in 1996, and the parade of dignitaries is beginning to file out of the pavilion. Just to let you know, you can request copies of the printed program for this year's commencement by contacting the Office of Public Exercises, Box 355-833, University of Washington, Seattle, 98195.
And you may also purchase professionally duplicated copies of this program from the University Bookstore. For information, call 1-800-335-READ. That's 1-800-335-READ for videotape copies of today's gold and purple ceremony. And now, as these proud and capable graduates take their leave of this hall, we will take our leave. Thank you for joining us for Commencement 96. Pam, it's been a pleasure, as it always is.
Jack, the feeling is certainly mutual. And on that happy note, we hope you have enjoyed our coverage as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. On behalf of the entire crew here at UWTV and my colleague Jack Armstrong, thank you for joining us for the 121st commencement of the University of Washington.
constituents and guests, please be seated and wait your turn to exit. Thank you.